Hello all and welcome back. I hope you're all having an excellent start to the week, and this week I promise I will try and get this Tuesday at Dobbs episode out on Tuesday. It's currently 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Film it, send it across to get edited, and fingers crossed it should be out with you very, very soon. Thank you so much everyone for continuing to get in touch, sharing your thoughts and opinions. These episodes on a weekly basis are all because of the excellent content that you give me, the discussions that you spark and start up. So thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. Best place to do so, comment section below. And if you have a longer story made with some pictures, you can email hi@tuesdayadobbs.com. We have, I'm delighted to say, so happy to say, a full suite of our brand, Libertatia gear. Absolutely everything is fully stocked up for Christmas. The Christmas rush has begun. And you'll notice I've pinched two of our Libertatia t-shirts, and you can see that. Hopefully that comes out on camera. Design on the back. These are made with 100% organic cotton, made in England and designed by us from start to finish. Slightly cropped fit. I'm 185 centimeters, 80 kilos, and I wear a medium. And it's just that nice, easy fit style. And we made sure the fabric's pre-washed. And we're just delighted. We went to the factory in England where it's made. So happy with these. We've also got, if I may, our first ever product. This is what started it, our Libertatia tool rolls. You'll always see this on the front of the Bonneville. Made with British oilskin fabric, and then designed and made by us from scratch, start to finish, right here in Ipswich. Monica's mum actually makes these. These are all handcrafted by us. Doesn't come with the tools, by the way, but that is how it looks. Antique brass zip, that oilskin fabric inside and out. We use the most premium oilskin fabric we could possibly find. Little Union Jack logo there, and then Libertatia logo there that's made out of, God, what is it? It's either an olive leather or a cactus leather, one of those. It's like the ones that they have in the back of Levi's jeans and we burnt this into every single one of them. Libertatia, made in England logo. And of course, Lost Biker Stories book. We've got everything in stock. Thank you so much all for your support. Hugely appreciate it. I've got a bit of mud on there from the last trip. Right, let's start it off. This is a chat I always found especially interesting. Is it the market or is it us? This comes in from Mark. Freddie, I was interested in your enthusiastic comments on the podcast a few weeks back about the benefits of buying a used bike at this time of year. I also saw another interesting video stating that private sales are now dead due to us living in a low-trust society. As an enthusiast of private sales and adverts, it'd be great to hear your opinion on this point. Also keen to hear the views of your listeners and viewers. I currently have had my bike for sale for a few weeks with very limited interest. I've listed it on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Auto Trader, and I've had virtually nothing from any of them. Is this situation that I'm in now down to any one of the following: the time of year, the price, the fact the bike is modified and not original, the low trust society, or something else? I'd love to hear your views and any views of other people on the topic, Mark. Right, Mark, this is one of the most fascinating topics. Thank you so much for bringing this up. First up, let's put up Mark's beautiful 900cc Triumph Scrambler. Mark, first off, before we start anything about the discussion, that is a stunning bike. You've done an incredible job with it. The tank work, the writing on the tank, that tail tidy on the back. This is as nice a Scrambler that I've ever seen. A really superb job you've done. And you live in St Albans, and I spent from the age of 3 to 20 in St Albans, 17 years of my life in St Albans. That is my hometown. So great to see this bike advertised there. First off, if anyone's interested, here it is, 900 Scrambler. Let's take a look at this. First off, and I think this is the same in a lot of countries, things are selling slower at the moment. My parents recently sold their 1 Series BMW, and my dad said it was noticeably harder selling his 1 Series BMW than it was 3 years ago selling his 3 Series Beamer. It took about an extra 2 weeks to sell it, but he did eventually, after I think he had to lower the price a little bit. Taking a look at yours, Mark, this is what I always like to do when I'm checking out residuals and seeing where the market is. Your bike is advertised for sale at £7,250 and it is a 2020 model. So it's a 5-year-old model. If we take a look, for example, at Triumph's brand new Scrambler 900, it's £10,400. That means that, I know yours is modified, but I'll just keep that to one side for now. You're offering a £3,000 discount on your bike compared to a brand new bike. First of all, Mark, I would say that's not a big enough discount compared to a brand new 900 Scrambler, because a brand new 900 Scrambler has no miles on the clock. It's going to have full, 3-year warranty, and someone will walk into a Triumph dealer, buy a brand new Scrambler with no previous owners, and they only have to pay £3,000 extra. So my initial thought when I see your bike, it probably is overpriced, and please everyone bear with me. This is no more than my opinion, so you're welcome to scream at me, Freddie, don't be so ridiculous. It's just my opinion. I would say it's a little bit overpriced here. Another point that I'd like to make to kind of back this up, Mark, if I'm having a look at similar bikes in the market, I'm drawn to this one here. This is on eBay as well. This one, look at this here. This is a 2020 model. In fact, this is a 2019 model, so 1 year older than yours, 4,000 miles on the clock. Absolutely standard. But look at what the seller's written here. Price reduced, block capitals, for the last time. And this is that limited edition, I think, sandstone one. I think this may be the similar one to what I've tested out. Either way, it's immaculate. Tiny miles. £5,875. So that means that this one is a full £1,400 or so cheaper than yours. And the problem with modified bikes is modified bikes do not go for more money than standard bikes. In fact, a lot of the time, unfortunately, they go for less money. So you're in a situation always, anyone who modifies a bike, you modify it, you spend a lot of money on it. You've clearly gone high end here because the level of work you've done is superb, Mark. But unfortunately, that never translates to residuals when you're trying to sell it on the used market. So I think personally, your bike may have to be closer to the maybe even 5.8k mark, maybe something like that. That's just my personal opinion. I'm going to give you a more extreme end of the spectrum here, Mark, because bikes do sell, and actually they sell perfectly well, but they sell, and I know it sounds like I'm stating the obvious, they sell at the right price. If you go onto Moto on eBay, for example, this is a company that I often bring up on eBay. In essence, what they do, they take insurance right off motorbikes and they sell them on eBay. But a lot of the time, the only thing that's happened is one's been stolen and it needs a new key or something like that. But it's been categorized as a Cat N write-off officially. But look at this. At time of recording, in fact, this was from yesterday evening when I was researching it. Take a look at the Bonneville bobber here. This is a write-off. You can see the front forks are slightly bent towards the engine. 2017 model, so it's 8 years old, £3,700 with 15 bids. And look just below it. There's a write-off 2018 Bonneville T120, £2,550, 14 bids, 3 days left. Loads of interest in all of these bikes, but there's interest at the right price. So people still want to be buying bikes, but if the price is even slightly, and only personal opinion, slightly overinflated, the interest drops from actually being quite strong and buoyant in some areas to absolute zero. It's almost like there's nothing in between. If you've even slightly overpriced your bike in this market, you'll get absolutely nothing. The amount of people that tell me exactly the same when they're trying to sell it is eye-opening. And probably the bikes, the brands where people often either overinflate the prices or there is such a range in prices from, in essence, the exact same model Harley Davidsons, they're famous for it. I'll give you a great example here. And sorry if this is your Harley and you're watching, apologies, I do not mean to seem disrespectful. I totally understand if you want to scream down your screen. This is a Harley Davidson here, Street Bob, £13,500, 4 years old, with 2,500 miles on the clock. This is a lovely looking bike, and it's only had 16 views in the past 24 hours. So 13.5k for a very nice condition 4-year-old Harley Davidson, but you can get a brand new one for 16k, maybe even 15.5. So for 2k more, with all of the Harley Davidson warranty, you walk into a Harley dealership and buy your very own brand new Harley. You're only paying 2,000 more than for a 4-year-old one. So immediately I'm thinking this is just too far overpriced. And especially here, this is a 2021 model. So exactly the same year, Harley Davidson Street Bob. But look at this. This is £9,500. This is £4,000 cheaper, with 1,000 miles more on the clock. And this one is in a more standard condition, so more appealing to a wider audience. And look what it says. It says sold Harley Davidson. So if I were looking to sell my Harley Davidson Street Bob, I'd be looking pretty closely at this advert, and bear in mind even this is from a dealer, and I'd be thinking, right, the market rate for my Harley Street Bob from this year, well, I know it sells at 9.5k, so 9.5k is probably just about market value for the Street Bobs. Mark, I hope that's been of some help in some way. I bet if you put yours up for 5.8k, I think it would sell. It's whether you can stomach that difference between the price you put it up for, but Mark, it's a stunner, and the best of luck. I would love to hear all of your opinion on that, because I love this topic almost more than anything else. Used bike prices, it's so fun. I move on. Hold the front page from Graham. Freddie, you might have already found your ideal off-road bike, but I think one of these could be an option. I know before I've recommended the Yamaha TW125 or 200, but hold that front page. The Hero, who's heard of this? Hero XPluse Pro 200. £2,500, or if you want to splash out a bit more, £2,700 on the road, depending on the model, with a bulletproof, the Hero XPluse Pro 200. Who's ever heard of this before? So £2,500 or 2.7k on the road. 2.7k, depending on the model, with a bulletproof engine and an amazing warranty. It seems like a done deal to me. Graham. Actually, Graham, this is really interesting you say this. Street Twin Kim on Instagram, she sent me this pic of the MCL bike show of this exact bike. This bike is building up a huge amount of interest. One, for the looks, it looks excellent. And then when you see the price, you cannot believe it. You think there must be a typo in the advertising. To get a bike that looks this good for £2,700, way below £3,000. That's almost unthinkable. So do we have a potential game changer on our hands here? Let's take a look at this. £2,700, 200cc, 19 horsepower, air-cooled, 161 kilos. Everything there looks okay. It's definitely on the heavier side. 161 kilos for a 200cc. That is heavy, actually. It's light in terms of normal bikes. It's still going to feel like a light, small bike, but actually 161 kilos is quite heavy. However, we have to forgive some stuff here for the price. It's not fair to expect them to make a sub 140 kilo bike at that price. That's just not realistic. So that is all perfectly fair. You can pick these up from Moto GB, and I know a few of the team there. It's a lovely team there, and they are hugely passionate about their bikes. But look at this. You walk into one of the Moto GB dealerships or a place that sells these Hero XPulses, and they arrive in February, so you may even be able to put a deposit down now. You can walk in and you can go onto the Moto G website, and I've checked the finance here. Put down a £500 deposit, and I don't want to be paying back for 4 years or so. I want to pay back over 2 years. So £500 deposit, 2 years of repayments, £114 a month. That's it. In total, you pay $3,228 and you own the bike in its entirety outright after 2 years of just £114 a month payments. Really hard to argue with that, isn't it? Moving on, Graham, thank you. And Street Twin Kim, thank you for sending me that pic. It's a lovely looking bike. Right, next up, hold the second page. There's so much news here. Bike of the week purchased. I think I said last week, why does no one listen to me? Why do I always check my recommendations for bike of the week? And guess what? It's still there on the classifieds and no one's bought it. Well, sometimes people do buy it. This is from Mika. Freddie, with a picture included. Freddie, who remembers this? I wanted to get in touch to let you know that I bought the Harley Davidson Sportster that you shared in your Tuesday podcast a couple of weeks ago. I'd been searching for a Harley for months and I couldn't make up my mind between an Evo Sportster or something bigger like a Dyna or FXR. There was just something about the bike you shared that caught my eye. Mika, I completely agree. That's exactly for this bike, this Harley, why I showed it. It just ticked every box. The looks of it, everything about it. There was something about this bike. A bit about the history. Originally, the bike was from New York. It was imported in 2021, and it has all of the patina that you'd expect from a previous life in an American city. It's even got a signed airbrushed mural on the oil tank. Oh wow, from an artist in New York City. Importantly though, the seller has been through the bike fastidiously over the last 4 years to ensure all the mechanical and running components are solid. I stopped off to view the bike in the Welsh countryside last week while me and my partner were away on holiday. The seller and I agreed a price including delivery to me as he had a van, and a week later it's home with me in the South Midlands. I'm sure I could have found a later Sportster with a few more mod cons for not much more money, but I think few would have a story like this one. I can't wait to put some miles on it in the spring once the weather improves, but in the meantime, it'll keep me busy in the garage over the winter, finalising some of the cosmetics and fitting some parts to make it personal. I've had a few bikes in the past, including a Moto V7, Royal Enfield, but none of them, so many people say this about the air-cooled Sportsters, none of them can touch this for character and noise. Mika, just looking at the pic of you and the Sportster, you two suit each other perfectly. That is a match made in heaven. And thank you for sharing that. That in my mind now justifies doing Bike of the Week, that some people listen. Now on to something a little bit more negative. This is really interesting. Who's been in, really, I mean this, I want to hear from you. Who's been in a similar situation to this? This comes in from Steve. Negativity, this is my title by the way, negativity after negativity. Hey Freddie, I'd love to hear the thoughts from the listeners and yourself on my current situation. I'm very much a fresh new rider with, at the moment, just a CBT, so for all the Americans, that's 125cc license and below. But I've been driving cars and vans for over 18 plus years. I needed a low-cost bike to commute to London just twice a month. I did my research and decided on a Moto RX1 125, brand new. I paid for the fees and I got it on a low-cost finance option. Here's the bit, listen to this. My father-in-law is a lifelong hardcore biker, and once I told him what bike I'd got, he told me I'm very stupid for going with a crap Chinese bike and was very angry with it. He then proclaimed to explain, listen to part 2 here, to explain I shouldn't have even got a bike yet and instead should be paying for more training for at least until next spring to gain some seat hours, and I'm just a risk to others if I go out on the road this soon. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Steve, there are 2 words here. There's something I call people like your stepfather. I refer to them as energy vampires, because the first point about crap Chinese bikes, look, he will be looking at it from a point of view that China did build a fairly ropey reputation for some of the motorbikes over the past few years. That's true, there is an element of truth there. But over the past 3 years, really, the Chinese have been building extremely good bikes. So I've never ridden a Lex Moto. It's probably perfectly decent. But the point is this, you've just got your CBT and you've got yourself your own little first pride and joy, a Lex Moto. My God, this should be a time for celebrating, not a time for mindless negativity. The second point about you being a danger to other people on the roads. You've passed your CBT. You've just gone out and bought a bike. Everything's legit and legal. So for him to say that it's actually going to be a danger for you to be on the roads to other people, that comes from a position of bitterness. No more than that at all. You need to completely ignore all of that. So there's no place for any of that stuff. Steve, that's my opinion on it. And people always leave fascinating opinions in the comments, so check that out. But Steve, welcome to biking. It's a glorious place. There's no place for negativity. Like, it's the most amazing pastime. Hopefully I'll see you out on the road somewhere. On now. Too bland? No worries. This is in response to me getting overexcited about mid-size adventure bikes over the past 2 episodes. Oh yes, that's it. I was talking about a Honda Transalp, saying it's so color specific. You could get a standard black Honda Transalp without all the rally kit and it looks quite basic. Or you can spec it with that incredible red, white and blue with the rally pack, the crash guard, the sump guard. Suddenly it turns into an epic looking overlander. So colour and options are so important. I've got 2, I think, genuinely useful bits of advice here. If you own an adventure bike and you want to turn it into something that looks really special, here are 2 great tips. So many of you first off were talking about the Suzuki V-Strom 800DE and actually saying this is about as good as it gets for an overlanding motorbike. This is a bike recommended by a huge amount of you. So, V-Strom 800DE. Gary said, look, this is a bike that's served me very well so far. John continues, I'm really tempted by the DE, especially with some of the Hessler bits and pieces added. Gives it the slightly retro Dakar look with modern reliability. Okay, Gary, John, thank you. You've unwittingly become part of this week's episode. Suzuki 800 V-Strom DE, pictured here, completely standard. Now, I've never come across this before. Hessler motorsport.de, so German site. We can turn. This is so exciting. This, to be fair, is honestly really why I love motorbikes, but also adventure bikes are so fun for this stuff. We can turn a commuter-looking Suzuki V-Strom that I found here, one for sale second-hand on Auto Trader, £7,950. You can go out and buy this good, honest workhorse that looks perfectly decent like that, and you can turn it into this. This package here from Hessler, with all of the bells and whistles on it. It's got the tail tidy, it's got upgraded suspension, engine guards, exhaust, a few new little decals, sump guard, loads of other bits where all of these highlights are. But the fact that we can turn it into, from a commuter bike to this Paris-Dakar style looking bike, that's so exciting. So if you want all of that, it's €2,400, but Hessler will sell you all of the individual stuff, so you can kind of pick and choose, or just go all out, think to hell with it. I want exactly that bike, straight from Germany, €2,500. I think that's really exciting, looking at stuff like that. But on top of that, I've got one other bit of useful advice. This comes in from Hulk Not Like Puny Banner. It's too hard reading out these without breaks. Hulk Not Like Puny Banner says, good news, Freddie, you can get a wrap kit for the Transalp 600 to 750 from Moto Expressions from 187 to €220. And there are a couple of installers in your area. Okay, let's check this out. Moto Expressions. Got it. So they do loads of different decal and wrap kits for a big range of bikes. A lot of them are mid-size adventure bikes from BMWs, Suzuki's, Hondas. This is my favorite one here from the new 750 Honda Transalp. So you may have got a Transalp in a color you don't really like, but you can go onto this website here, motoexpressions.com. You can pick up a decal kit like this to make it look this incredible. For me, this looks superb now with this wrap job on it. And then from there, I went onto Google to have a look. Where can I get Moto Expressions wraps fitted? And on Google Maps, you're right, plenty around. This one popped up in Bury St Edmunds, Sublime Designs Moto Wraps. It's a company that specializes specifically in putting wraps on your motorbikes. That's a really tempting thing to do because adventure bikes, more so than any other style of bike, suit crazy, garish paint jobs, wrap jobs, things like that, because it makes them more look like those Dakar races or racers. Huge fan of that. Thank you all for sharing that. Now, on to Matt. Oh, the Key West road trip. Okay. Freddie, Legacy Media here. Been a writer for newspapers and magazines for 30 odd years. Keep an eye out. Sorry, this has just been actually, I missed this. Keep an eye out for the Sunday Times travel section this week on November the 30th. So this was a few days ago. I wrote a feature to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Honda Goldwing, which also coincided with my 50th birthday, in the home of the road trip. Not the classic Route 66 or even the more typical Southwest US, but Florida. I noticed there were a couple of Goldwings in the Eagle Rider fleet in Miami, so I flew there and headed down to Key West, southernmost point in the USA. Then all the way up, US Route 1 to Jacksonville via Miami and Daytona. I hadn't appreciated the welcome that you get when you arrive on a bike in the US, especially when it's a bright yellow Goldwing. The Goldwing is incredibly comfortable, it eats up the miles, the screen even does a pretty good job of keeping the rain off, but it is heavy. I was glad to have that reverse gear. I would definitely recommend Florida, although it was pretty hot in the summer. I was riding in a t-shirt a lot of the time, which is a shock coming from London. Matt, Instagram account Barn Find, and Matt, I read this article online, and I'll put a link in the written description so you can check it out too, on the Times, fantastic article on your trip. The fact it was published in the Times is brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it really does look like road tripping dream, with alligators around, with blue sky, with incredible coastal rides and everything in between. It looks like the stuff of dreams. And to have a bright yellow Goldwing there, Matt, I like it very much. Now, to wrap up this week's episode, Bike of the Week. The used market is now a dream. Going on from the discussion with Mark, used bike prices, it's painful for people selling bikes. It's turning into a little bit of a dream for people buying bikes and, more importantly, getting younger people into biking. This comes in from Ben. Freddie, I wanted to share my story in the hope that it ignites a fire in some of your viewers who may not have started their riding journeys just yet. After being around bikes for most of my life and finally turning 24, it was time to get my full A license. So I spontaneously picked up, man after my own heart, a 2012 Triumph Bonneville Special Edition T100 off Facebook Marketplace for £3,000. I hadn't even passed my test yet, but I just fell in love with the look of the bike, and since passing, I've been riding for a month now, and it is safe to say this bike has completely changed my life. As a young business owner, my days are pretty high stress, and as a result, it's very difficult to completely switch off. Being out in the elements, even if it's just to pop to the shops, has not only been incredible for my mental health, but it's given me a hobby that I know I will have for life. Something that can completely switch your brain off from work is a treasure in this day and age. Ben, with an Instagram account, Ben on Bonnie. Yeah, Ben, this perfectly backs up the point from Mark earlier. And And these prices are getting so tempting. I'm delighted by this. I'm talking here about my model Bonneville as well. These have been sitting at about £4,000 for so long, this model of Bonneville, and I'm so delighted they're now becoming affordable. You can pick these up now for £3,000 and below. I want to see them at £2,000, so they get into more people's houses. More people can get into biking thinking, I can get a Triumph Bonneville, a used one for £2,000. So Ben, you've inspired me here for Bike of the Week. I've found two Bonnevilles that I want to share for this Bike of the Week. Which one shall I do first? Shall I do a more project level bike? No, I tell you what, I'm going to do this one first. You can barely believe the prices. I know that the Scandinavians and places like that, Scandinavians will not believe the prices of the Bonnevilles in England. I always get Swedes, Danish, getting in touch, Norwegians as well, saying, Freddie, are Bonneville prices really that cheap? Yes, they are. Look at this. £2,750 for a 2012 Bonneville that was listed 9 weeks ago. This is sub £3,000. It's just incredible. It's got an MOT, so the annual check till May 2026, and it's still not selling at this price, at £2,750. No question you'll be able to get this bike, this Bonneville, for £2,400. No question at all. I think that is incredible value. And I'll show you one other here. Tell you what, this one may have to come down more. This is the absolute last of the carburetted Bonnevilles here. It's also the last of the English-made Bonnevilles. That makes this potentially really special. This one was listed 3 weeks ago. It's been reduced. It's currently £2,295 for the last of the English-made Bonnevilles, made in Hinckley. And this is a time when Hinckley were over-engineering everything because they had to desperately prove to the world, look, Triumph is back and we actually mean something this time. Like we haven't gone away like we did in the 1960s, 70s, making useless motorbikes because we couldn't run the company properly. No, now we're back. And we're going to set out our stall here for the level of quality. And it's going to be extremely high. These were really well-engineered bikes. And this needs a decent amount of cosmetic work and stuff like that. But even at this price, it says reasonable offers considered. Let's say you can get cheeky. Let's say you could get this for £1,800. Can you imagine getting that for £1,800? Someone wants a winter project. Please someone grab this bike and then send me a photo of this bike tucked up in your garage while you're getting some work done on it. I'll wrap this up. This isn't Bike of the Week, but there's one more thing I wanted to show you here. Royal Enfield Classic 350 2022 model, 3 years old. This bike is why the used market is now so appealing, or this is part of the reason why. What Royal Enfield have done, yes, to the brand new bike market is game changing, but these bikes are all filtering down. Look at this. You get a 3-year-old Royal Enfield Classic 350, one of the best looking motorbikes, for me in my personal opinion, ever made. Certainly out of the new crop of bikes. It's perfection in my eyes. And it's £2,700 and it's got full dealer service history. You are going to have zero concerns, zero issues with this bike. It's dream level bike, 3 years old, for 2.7k. It's phenomenal. I'll wrap it up there on that extremely positive note. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Really hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great week all and I'll see you in the next one.